All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about a trade idea that a lot of Jets fans are talking about right now, which is once the offseason hits, the New York Jets trade, they acquire quarterback, former first-round pick from the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy. Now, of course, this is very premature. From the Jets side of it, we have no idea who the GM is, the coaches, the offensive system, the play caller, what Aaron Rodgers' decision is going to be, what the cap is going to look like. Lots and lots and lots of questions. And then, of course, from the Vikings side, yes, they've had a great season, but what happens if the Vikings get bounced in round one? Sam Darnold, reverts back and he throws 3 INTs and it's just a disappointing Vikings loss in the playoffs. That could happen, right? Maybe the conversation changes in a week or two. But with that said, because Minnesota has 14 wins, potentially 15, because Sam Darnold is having a career season, there's been a lot of talk that Darnold's going to cash in. He's going to get over $100 million, potentially 40, 45. I've seen some people talk about $50 million a season for Sam Darnold. Personally, I wouldn't go that far. But in any case, that's what's being talked about at this point in time. And, if Minnesota feels really, really good about Sam and they want to move forward, they want to sign him to that 4 or 5 year contract, then what happens to the former first round pick in J.J. McCarthy, who they just picked, not only just in the first round, but also traded up for in the first round? So the way I'm kind of looking at it is like this. Again, just hypothetical trade idea, no idea who the hell the GM is for the Jets, no idea what the offensive system is looking like. I think it's very unlikely that Minnesota moves McCarthy. I'm not going to say there's a 0% chance, but very, very slim. That's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong on it. I don't know the inner workings of the Minnesota Vikings and how they feel internally about Darnold, if they're just completely blown away, or if Kevin O'Connell, right, a top 5 offensive mind in football, is looking at the quarterback position saying, you know what, I've had success with Kirk Cousins, I've had success with Sam Darnold, we were in the mix last season with Josh Dobbs, with Nick Mullins, all these quarterback injuries, the Vikings stayed afloat. This team is stacked. We have the best receiver in football. We have a great number 2 in Addison, Hawkinson at tight end, Aaron Jones at running back, Brian Flores. We know what he's doing on the defensive side of the football. J.J. McCarthy, we just handpicked up at the top of the draft in a very talented quarterback class. Are the Vikings ready to give up on him? I just feel like it's too early. It's too early. We don't know what McCarthy looks like. Right, this is not a Penix situation in Atlanta where Penix was practicing, Penix was formulating that chemistry. He was working behind Kirk Cousins in practice. No, McCarthy had a devastating season-ending injury. Granted, he did look pretty good in preseason, but it's not like he's taking like a percentage of the first team reps or anything in practice. They have no idea. Nobody has a clue on how J.J. McCarthy looks practicing right now. So here is a situation where I could see the Jets maybe doing something like this, right? Of course, assuming that the Vikings were down to do it. And by the way, for context, the Minnesota Vikings are expected to have over $70 million in cap space for 2025. So theoretically, they could re-sign Sam Darnold to let's just call it a $40 million deal, 4 years, $40 million annually, and be okay, right? It's not like they're going to have $2 million, $3 million in cap space, and this whole facet of bringing Darnold back is just completely irrelevant because it's just simply not going to happen financially speaking, right? Again, theoretically, mathematically, it does work to bring Darnold back if, of course, Kevin O'Connell and Adolfo Mensa want to do that. But just living in this trade world where the Vikings are taking calls, they're picking up the phone, they're seeing what's out there for J.J. McCarthy, there could be a conversation if the Jets go out and hire from that Minnesota Vikings organization, right? If Ryan Grigson is the Jets general manager hire, someone who has a long backstory with scouting J.J. McCarthy, if Brian Flores is the head coach, someone who has been around J.J. McCarthy, someone who knows how he is, not only just as a player early on, but also as a person and a teammate, I could very well see the talks start to heat up because Ryan Grigson and Brian Flores, I think, are two candidates in their respective roles, GM and head coach, that make, I could easily see the Jets interviewing both of these guys, right? It's totally realistic. Just try to put yourself in the shoes of your future self a couple weeks from now. Jets, they hire Ryan Grigson, right? A week later, Brian Flores becomes the team's head coach. Sam Darnold maybe goes on a run in the playoffs. Do the Vikings listen to calls from the New York Jets and, potentially flip McCarthy over to, a team that's now being ran by former Minnesota Vikings that know and that drafted McCarthy in the first place? You can make an argument that it is realistic in that sense. Here's the kicker, though, right? Here is a potential curveball. Trade compensation. The Vikings will not be trading J.J. McCarthy away for a random third-round pick. Not in the cards. I think it's going to take a first-round pick and more. Now, you could argue, okay, well, the Jets could potentially have a top 5 pick if they lose to Miami and, things go their way. It's pretty much a lock that the Jets will finish with a top 10 pick, which, in other words, the Jets will have a great first-round pick. So do you feel comfortable trading for someone that we don't really know how he looks in regular season NFL action, someone who hasn't practiced at all this past year, and let's just hypothetically say the Jets trade the 4th overall pick, the 5th overall pick for someone like that? It's a high pick. It is a very high pick, and the Jets could very well go and tackle a position of need, or go out and acquire a really talented player. I think the discussion is fair. I think the back and forth with it is going to be great to listen in on, and I'm really excited to see where you stand down below in the comment section on this. Are you pro McCarthy? Are you not so high on JJ? I think it's interesting, but at this point right now, I just have a very difficult time seeing the Vikings A, moving him, and B, moving him to the Jets, because we don't know, again, at this point, early January, actually today's New Year's, Happy New Year's, we have no idea what the Jets are doing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have an answer at GM or coach or OC or play caller or system or with Rodgers or with the cap or anything, right? So I think if there is a trade, it would happen months and months down the line. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on this. And as always, go Jets.